Ladies and gentlemen, it's the One Health Podcast. Welcome back. I'm your host, Tori Schmelzer. I'm a fitness enthusiast / fitness entrepreneur. My goal is to share the knowledge I gather through meeting industry experts with as many people as I can. For those of you who are new to the show, each week we are going to bring on different experts in areas of health. So that could be mental health, physical health, professional health, spiritual health, you name it. We cover it. We don't claim to be experts on any of these subjects. We just interview the people who are for the greater good. Thanks again for your love and support from our subscribers on our social media. Thanks for all the likes, the shares. We really do appreciate that. Do us a favor, leave us a review on iTunes. Go on that purple podcast app on your phone and subscribe so you guys can stay up to date on the latest episodes. Share that with your friends and family. Remember, all of our videos and episodes are on our website, onehealthpodcast.com. Thanks to our sponsors, EcoGym. Make sure you guys go to ecogymworldwide.com. Find a club near you. They're now offering a revolutionary group fitness class called Surge. That's going to change the way you guys think about group fitness. They're now offering red light therapy, hyperbaric therapy, personal training, all sorts of cool stuff. You guys need to go check them out. Today on the show, we have an amazing individual, somebody I've wanted to have on for a long time. Our schedule is finally aligned, so I'm really excited about this. We have Libby Hurley from Together We Try. Libby is a mother of 3, a 4-time Ironman finisher, former Junior Olympian, author of the book Try the Journey, TEDx motivational speaker, and president of the training facility Together We Try. Did I nail that? Was that good?
I think you got it. I think you got it.
You do so many things. It's hard. I was reading through your bio and I'm like, what do I include? What do I set out? So
that's awesome.
Those are the top level things. So thanks for joining me.
I'm so happy to be here. We've been trying to do this for a while now, so
I know.
Happy to be here.
So Libby trains with us here at EcoGym, along with all the other training that she does. She's also heavily involved with the Chamber of Commerce here, so her and I connected through that too as well. So that's good.
And I love EcoGym. Just a shout out. Everyone's so nice. Everyone knows you by name. And
I'm not paying her to say
nope,
that. Just
not
to be
at all.
clear.
Not at all. Love it here.
So I guess start us out on kind of how did you get into this whole triathlon training? What pushed you and motivated you? Was it previous background in the health and fitness industry? How did this all start?
So I have a very interesting start. Who knew that I would end up here? Definitely not me. I was a swimming as you mentioned, Junior Olympian. So I had a swim background. Used to swim 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours afternoon after school. So I had my fair share of pool time. And then when I graduated, I was a PA in neurosurgery and neuroresearch. So I used to do brain and spine surgery, living in San Francisco. Working way too many hours, kind of felt like I needed a new goal, needed a new, journey in life, I guess. And I saw the Escape from Alcatraz. Now, at this point, I wasn't swimming, I wasn't exercising regularly, but the Escape from Alcatraz in San Francisco, I sat at the finish line and watched all of these different shapes, different sizes, age groups, para-triathletes cross the finish line. And the joy, the sense of excitement and exhilaration from their accomplishment just touched me. And so I watched every single athlete cross the finish line.
So do you start this like on the island? Is that where the race starts?
So the race starts, you get on a boat. They take you out to Alcatraz and you jump off in 52-degree water.
Oh my God,
yes.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So at this point, I'm just watching all these superstars thinking that they're crazy. But their sense of joy was so incredible that I thought, oh my gosh, I need to experience that.
Yeah.
So here I am on the sidelines watching everyone finish. And I turned to my husband and said, next year I'm doing this. And he cracked up because I wasn't working out. He never really saw me swim. So I bought a bike, bought some shoes, started swimming, started training, and long story short, a year later, did the Escape from Alcatraz. And it changed my chemistry.
Wow.
And after I crossed the finish line, I was like, okay, I need to extend this experience to others. So it was a very organic way of getting into triathlon. And when we moved to Chicago from San Francisco, I started Together We Try at Lakeshore Athletic Club. And here we are 19 years later, 10,000 athletes later, and it's just been an organic, beautiful, beautiful evolution that I just feel so privileged to be a part of.
Unreal. So when you moved, okay, so you were doing surgery in San Francisco. Was there a breaking point for you where you're like, I'm just working way too many hours. I want to pursue this passion and go do this in Chicago? Or how did that whole thing
So I think I
happen?
had a breaking point before I found triathlon. And then when we moved back to Chicago, I just didn't want to work 70 hours a week. I knew that I wanted to have a family, and looking for positions in Chicago, just nothing rang true. And I just kept thinking, I had trained some people in San Francisco just kind of on a whim for fun. And then when we moved here and I just couldn't find a home, I thought, you know what really jazzed me, my passion, became this triathlon evangelist. And so I started studying, creating training guides, getting certified, and doing that kind of as I was training everyone. Okay. And then, and then it just evolved into my kind of full-time gig.
That's really cool. So before I met you, I literally had never heard of a triathlon training facility. Yeah. And I know I'm from Madison, Wisconsin, and they host an Ironman there. Is it every year? Yeah, they do it every year.
Yep.
So I was like, I just figured these people were hiring private one-on-one coaches and just training on their own. I didn't know there were like actual facilities. Are you the only one in the Chicagoland area that's specific to this?
There's several other tri groups. We kind of got it started in Chicago, and so there's several more in the city. We're pretty much the only one in the North Shore. And what people don't know, to your point, there's Ironman, but there's also indoor triathlons. There's the sprint distance, the Olympic distance, half Ironman, and iron.
So that's one of my questions I was going to ask you today. Talk to me about those different lengths, because I had no idea that there was different lengths too until I talked to your trainer too as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the funny thing. You say triathlon and people are like, oh my gosh, no way. And then when you break it down and say, okay, for instance, we are hosting an indoor triathlon March 17th.
Yes, March 17th. If you guys are in the Chicago, even if you're not in the Chicago area, you guys need to come and do this. We're going to plug this later in the show, too. I'm going to mention this.
Okay. All right. So an indoor triathlon is not by distance. It's a 10-minute swim, 20-minute bike, 15-minute run. And you see how far you can get within that time frame. That's unique to indoor. The sprint distance is specific distances, a half-mile swim, a 12-mile bike, and a 3-mile run. The Olympic is the next level up, which is a mile swim, a 24-mile bike, and a 6-mile run. Then you got the half, which is 1.2, 56, and 13. And then the full is 2.5 miles, or it's actually 2.4, 116 miles, and a 26-mile run.
So is the full considered an Ironman, or is the Ironman? Okay, okay. So the full is considered the Ironman.
So and they call it long course.
Got it.
Yeah.
So after so what I hear from a lot of people is the swimming is the hardest part.
Yeah.
For you, did that come more natural?
For sure.
Because of your background?
Yep.
Okay.
And so I've noticed exactly that. People will say, oh, I can bike. I could even walk the run if I needed to, but I can't swim. And so that's one of our specialties. We break down the swim into a succession of drills, and you don't have to know how to swim, bike, or run to be a part of Together We Try. And that's the beauty of our culture is you don't have to be a triathlete. This happens to be our venue in order to help people believe in themselves. But swimming definitely is what people think is the barrier to entry for triathlon. But hey, we can all learn how to swim.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just think that's a 2-mile swim. So you hear that, you're like, 2 miles doesn't sound that bad. But when you're swimming 2 miles, it is a daunting task. Yeah. I know just swimming laps in the pool like I have before, amazing cardio exercise, but very challenging for the average person.
But like anything else, if you are learning to run, at first a 3-mile run, a 5K seems insurmountable. You do the 5K and then you're like, if I baby step, add on a little more, then you're doing the 10K. No different than swimming. Learn technique and then slowly add on the distance. And before you know it, you're swimming 2.4 miles.
So do you guys, okay, so let's say I'm a new person. I'm coming in Together We Try. I want to get started on this training. What do you guys do first? What's your approach with that?
So we have year-round training, and it depends on where you are. So whether you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, elite. So it really depends on what your level is, what your goals are, what your strengths and weaknesses are. So even though it is group training, it's completely individualized to what your needs are. For instance, we have a lot of marathon athletes who, because of the monosport, have gotten injured, and they've come to say, I still want to do sports, but I can't do the marathons anymore. They'll come to us. Many of them don't know how to swim, so we will teach them perfect technique, combine it all. And the beauty is with triathlon, you really are, it's a full body workout. You're building strength really head to toe. So often these marathoners that come to us can go back to running again after they've gotten the supportive structure from doing the swimming, biking, running. So you enter, Tori, you're like, I'm not a great swimmer. I've run before. I definitely can bike. We would, it's off season right now, so we would enter you into our off season training, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays. And again, wherever you are is where our coaches would meet you.
Okay. Got it. Excellent. So do you guys are you specifically training those 3 things? Are you running these people through some sort of like resistance training, band work, stuff like that too as well?
So in our off season, we really do concentrate on strength as well. And strength is imperative for really any sport. And if you are not lifting, if you're not building, that supportive structure, then injury pretty much is guaranteed.
Yeah, it's inevitable. It really
exactly.
is.
So we absolutely incorporate strength in every single workout. Sometimes when we're in the in season, which is our 12-week training programs, and we're really increasing the mileage, we require or suggest to our athletes very strongly to get strength training outside of us because our workouts become pretty long. So
Got it. Yeah, no, I learned that. So my girlfriend, she got me into the whole marathon running thing. So I trained with her for a while last year. We did a couple half marathons, things like that. What I noticed is a lot of the, her in particular, and then some other distance runners that I talked to, they weren't doing any resistance training.
Yeah.
And they were asking me, well, how do I get faster? How do I get faster?
get stronger.
You got to get stronger.
Absolutely.
And resistance training is a very broad term. That could be using your own body weight. It's basically pushing or pulling or working your body under a load of additional weight. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And technique and form can take you far, but to take you to that next level, you really do need to, get stronger.
What for you during the Ironman? Talk to me about, I always ask this question, people who run. I asked Helen this when she was on the show. I want to know what things are running through your head when you've just done the bike and now you're halfway through a marathon. How do you are you just like zoned out completely thinking about other things? I suppose you can't have music in, right?
You can, yeah.
Did you?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Why? See,
Yeah.
I have to have music when I run.
Nope.
So what was going through your head as your body's like shutting down, basically?
Yeah.
How did you push through that?
So I think 75% of Ironman is mental. I think if you're not mentally prepared, visualization I think is huge. So before any race, before any Ironman or any triathlon, any running race, if you're wanting to perform, I think visualization is imperative. Seeing yourself jump off that boat, seeing yourself come out of the water with, feeling energized and the joy, seeing yourself getting on that bike and passing people and going up the hills, down the hills, coming into transition and feeling the joy of that, seeing yourself taking off for the run and crossing the finish line with your hands in the air, feeling the amazement of finishing the race. So visualization is imperative. During the race, I always say it's kind of like life, which is funny. You have your ups and downs. There's days that are great. There's days that are terrible. There's days that you believe in yourselves. There's days that you're like, what do I think I'm doing? I'm clueless. So it truly is that during the Ironman, sometimes the swim is a tough start, and you start your race thinking, who do I think I am? What am I doing out here? Yeah. You finish the swim. I did that going onto the bike. So I think a lot of it is understanding that just as life, you're going to have tough miles and you're going to have easy miles. You're going to have friends along the way that'll help you. Often I meet fascinating people on the Ironman, believe it or not.
And you guys have the ability to talk while you're doing that.
That's right. So the bike, you really can't.
Yeah.
Because, you can't there's no drafting or you get docked. But I'm always cheering people on, and that's part of my joy too, is awesome. To be able to, give back to the sport and give back to the dedicated athletes. And so usually I'm, way to go, awesome job, and let's do this. And that keeps my mind off of my pain.
I'm going to encourage others. I like that, though. Yeah. That's a positive way to deal with it.
Absolutely.
As it's coming at you. What was your nutrition like when you were training for this? Were you consuming a lot of carbs like the day before a race or the day before a long training run? Like, what did that look like for you?
Not really. I have a pretty healthy diet, and so I pretty much just follow clean eating. And what you have to figure out with an Ironman is you have to eat throughout the entire race. So on the bike, you have to have a little bento box and make sure that you're calculating how many calories that you get, how much water you're getting, electrolytes, salt tabs. So that takes a little bit of, knowledge, practice, and calculations as to how you will sustain your energy throughout the whole race.
Yeah, I learned about noon tablets while I was doing that last summer training for the half. Those were a lifesaver. Those were huge. Also, the
Cliff Shots, the
little the gel packs.
The gels, yeah, love them.
You can buy, what was that company? GU?
Oh, the goo, yeah.
Yeah.
The
those
goo
were a lifesaver too.
Yeah, and the Cliff Shots are my favorite strawberry.
Okay, there you go. Shout out those brands.
That's right. That's right.
Shameless plug. Okay. Well, yeah, I always wonder that too, because nutrition is a huge part of whatever your goals are. So you need to have your body properly hydrated, again, to prevent cramping and things like that.
And I will say everybody's different. So a lot of times athletes will come to us and we give definite baselines of what they should be consuming, their hydration, their refueling, pre-fueling, and refueling. But everyone is so different as to how certain foods affect them, how certain supplements affect them. So what I do may not be what you would do for the Ironman. And so that's imperative for you to figure that out individually before your races.
Did you have any injuries or anything that was really, really nagging you during any of these?
I've been super lucky. I had an ACL tear in San Francisco prior to starting triathlon, and I've had no problems with it. I think plantar fasciitis is one during my Louisville Ironman. I was dealing with plantar, and that was a pain. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But luckily, I haven't had any extreme or long-term injuries, so I think a lot of it is the strength training. A lot of it is the stretching and, as you said, nutrition, pre-fueling, and post-fuel. So just keeping the machine running. Yeah. I've been lucky, knock on whatever, to not have any serious injuries.
Is there anyone that you wouldn't recommend doing a triathlon? Is there anybody that shouldn't do it? That should stay away from it?
Not that I know of.
No? Okay.
Not that I know of. I mean, I feel like, again, it is my sport, so I'm super positive about it, but honestly, swimming is so good for you. Cycling is so good for you. And I guess if anything, people who have had knee replacements, not the pounding, but you can always walk. You can always walk the run.
True. Or you can do the shorter distances too. It doesn't have to be the full.
Yep.
Got it. I like how this sport's like that. there's different levels of it. I really do like that. And it's more of a time thing. It's just for time.
Absolutely.
You're racing against your own
yourself.
clock.
Yeah. And that's why it's so beautiful. I feel like even we're wanting to get triathlon into high schools, because not everybody makes the football team. Not everybody makes the pom squad. Not everybody makes, baseball. But anybody can learn how to swim, bike, and run and feel so accomplished by this goal. And so I would love to get it into every single high school.
Do you know of any local high schools that have like a club that's for triathlons or anything?
I don't. So the only thing I do know is that GBS, for their advanced, I don't know if is it still called PE?
Yeah. I mean, I think we all know, what you're referring
their advanced
to there.
PE class. They do have to do a triathlon. So, but there are no clubs so I'd love to start that. Any high school kids out there that want to help me?
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing idea. You're right, because there's different clubs. You have lacrosse and you have golf and things like that. But yeah, those are very, I don't want to say you have to be, I guess, genetically gifted in some of these things. But yeah, when you're racing against yourself, you're pushing yourself. I think that's that's amazing.
And that feeling you get from crossing that finish line and accomplishing a goal that you may not think is attainable. And just, it's so beautiful to see, I want to say almost the evolution of athletes that start with us and they're like, oh, I'm just not sure if I can do this. But as they evolve through the training, and then it's like their whole belief in themselves or the personality, it can be a very pivotal moment, can be life-changing. So to give these high school kids that too would be so impactful.
I know I watched a friend do an Ironman in Madison, and watching these people cross the finish line, I don't think I was working out too hard at the time. But then that next week, after I watched all these people, I'm like, I need to get my butt in gear.
Oh, it's so inspiring.
It really is.
So inspiring.
And you don't even know the people you don't know their stories. You're just watching them. You're like, oh my God, this person just got done with this amazing endurance feat.
Yep. That was my escape from Alcatraz. That was my, watching everyone and just feeling, I have to have that feeling.
It's unbelievable.
It's great.
Talk to me about this book.
Okay.
So you're also an author. In your spare time, apparently.
My spare time.
So we got the book, Together We Try. I'll make sure I link this up in the show notes and on our YouTube channel so everybody can see it. So if you're watching, I'll hold the book up here. But how did you go about putting this book together? Was it just the inspiration and I need to reach more people that might not be in my immediate area, or how did this come about?
So we have so many inspiring stories. We have thousands of inspiring stories of people who have come together. We try, and whether it's I'm turning 40, I'm turning 50, I'm turning 20, and I have this goal, or I've been through a divorce, or I've lost a loved one, or just trying to find themselves or looking for a goal. The stories are so amazing that I felt like I want to share these. I want to share, to the community, whoever buys the book, whoever's interested, these amazing stories of these athletes and what they have overcome and how their life has changed from just taking that first step and learning, again, how to swim, bike, or run. So the stories were what really got me started. And then I had this Tupperware bin of great tips and, guides that I think are imperative for triathletes to know, kind of 101s. And Betsy is a dear friend. She went through our training program, and she had been writing in Women's World and publishing a few things. So I said, if you will help me get this Tupperware bin organized, we can write this book together. And so it would never have happened without the help of Betsy. But it's done pretty well, and I feel like I get emails all the time from people that have purchased it and say that somebody in the book reminded them of themselves, and if they could do it, then the person purchasing the book was going to give it a try. So it's a training guide. There is a 12-week training program in there. Beautiful, amazing stories, tips, how to accomplish a triathlon, and a journal in the back.
I love this. if people want to buy these or get a hold of these, how do they do that?
Amazon.
It's
yep.
on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Awesome. I got to get one of these for my girlfriend was really interested.
You can have that one.
Oh my God.
Guess
really?
what?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
there
yours.
We go.
There you go. Don't even have to buy one for her.
This is so cool though. I mean, there's stories, there's pictures in here. The journal in the back is really cool. And then it's got a really, like she said, it's got a really nice training guide in here.
So that's all you need. If you're
wow.
wanting to start to try, to train, you can buy the book, and that will walk you through your first race.
Is triathlon training an expensive sport?
Doesn't have to be.
No?
Nope. So what usually happens is that's another barrier to entry. People are like, I can't afford it. The races are getting a little more expensive, which is a bummer. Yeah. But if you have a swimsuit, pair of goggles, you can borrow a bike, just make sure it fits you, and a pair of running shoes. You don't have to have anything fancy. Okay. And what happens is once you drink the juice, then you're like, okay, now
I got to get these shoes.
Right,
I got to get this bike.
Exactly.
I got to get this
right.
helmet. Yeah.
So it's so funny to see athletes come back. First year, they're just borrowing stuff. The second year, it's like, okay, I'm going to, I bought this $3,000 bike, this $5,000 bike. And then it just can keep going from there. But it doesn't have to be.
Okay. What was the most... I'm sure you've just shared that you guys had tons of inspirational stories. Was there one in particular that like really stuck with you?
Well,
or a couple. I'm sure there's a couple
lot.
That really stuck
there's a lot.
with you.
I think.
You don't have to say any names, but
okay.
I didn't know.
Oh, there's so many.
If there's
So I think. I mentioned names in my TED talk, but one that I love is Joni, who is one of my dear friends. She was in Zumba class, and I announced, hey, anybody can do a triathlon, come join us. And she was 58 when she, met me, and she said, I don't know if I can do this. I have terrible arthritis. All I've ever done is dance classes. But you said anybody can do this, and that anybody can learn how to swim, bike, and run. So think I'm going to sign up. So she shows up and she shares with us that her mother had passed away at 59 and Joni was 58. And she's saying, I have to get myself into shape. I want to get healthy. She trains with us. She's power walking, not running. And then her first race, her kids fly in to see her. They can't believe that their 59-year-old mother is going to do the race.
Yeah, that's
an excellent swimmer. She was confident on the bike, and she actually was starting to run. So she shares with us that, obviously her mother had passed, and the kids were saying, what do you think Grandma would think of you? And she said, I imagine she would think I was nuts, that my mom was nuts. But as she's running, somebody passed her and said, way to go, I believe in you. And on the back of the shirt was her mother's name of the person who passed her.
Whoa.
So Joni comes across the finish line, bawling her eyes out.
Oh my
so
God.
Excited, sharing the story of, my mom's proud of me. This random person passed me, says, keep it going, I'm so proud of you. And the name of her mom was on the back of the shirt. So Joni has gone on to, continues to race, and she wins her age group now. And
that's amazing.
Pretty much every race that she does.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Do you guys have any professional athletes that are doing this, that are training at your facility?
So we do not have currently any professional. We have elites. We have worlds. We have.
Okay, so people who are like very, very serious with it.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have all spectrums, and that's the beauty of it. That. It does not have to be an intimidating sport. We have people that are winning, going to worlds, and we have people in the same pool, in different lanes, of course, that are learning how to swim, that are learning how to put their head in the water.
Cool.
And it's so beautiful for the elites to watch this, and they're certainly inspired by people learning their sport. And then for the beginners to hear the stories of the progress of the elites, it's just a beautiful thing. It's a great.
And it's cool for these elite athletes too, because they're like, I was there one time.
Absolutely.
I literally started right where they're at.
You got it.
So I'm sure they're sharing these stories and these experiences with some of these people. So that's a really good resource if you're just a beginner and you're getting into it, I think.
Absolutely. It's a full circle inspiration, and often the elites get so jazzed about sharing a tip or sharing something, that will help a beginner. So it's very fun.
That's really cool. If you could share with, so let's say I'm a person, I want to get started in triathlon training. What are a couple things just right off the bat that I should be doing on a daily basis to help me get into this sport?
So if you really do want to become a triathlete, the basics are you will need to learn how to swim. You will need to start getting on a bike, whether that's a bike in the gym or your bike on a trainer in the wintertime. We have to do that quite a bit. And just start walking. So the base level of exercise, I would say definitely doing 3 to 4 days a week of cardio, whatever that cardio is for you. And lifting 3 days a week is what we recommend. We do have people that show up day one and say, I haven't done anything, and today is my start. And that's totally fine too.
Wow.
And we will, again, wherever your level is, we will help you safely get to the finish line.
That's awesome. Yeah. And if I can make a recommendation, just related to health and fitness too, I think it's so important, whether you're going to be a triathlon athlete, marathon runner, whether you want to get into weightlifting, whatever it is, hire a coach.
Oh, yeah.
Pay the money from
Perfect.
someone who has the experience and who's done it to get you at least started off on the right foot.
Absolutely.
I think that eventually it starts to become a thing where, I have enough knowledge now. I'm in my groove, as the years go on. It's not meant to be like a permanent thing, but if, like you keep talking about a strong foundation, if you don't have that strong foundation when you start, you're not going to be successful at it.
Yep. Or you're going to have a negative experience. So often we have athletes that will come to us saying, I did my first sprint last year and it was terrible. It was awful. Like I was exhausted, and it was not fun because they didn't hire a coach. They, kind of jumped in without knowing how to put together the swim, bike, and run. And 3 separate sports. That doesn't sound like it's very difficult, but there is a science to putting it all together. So absolutely join a team, hire a coach, know the steps and the tools that it takes to progressively train for your race, and it'll be a fun experience.
And be careful of another caveat I want to put in here. Be careful of the online coaches. You really need to vet these people. There's so many in our industry. There's so many fitness coaches out there who don't have the experience, who don't know what they're talking about. A lot of times people walk through our doors and we're fixing a bad situation, bad advice that they had gotten from somebody else. So you can get that coaching online, but man, you need to do your research.
And not only the team, the coach, but that accountability. And sometimes you can disappoint yourself and be fine with it. But we often see that our athletes will say, I didn't even want to come today, but we knew you were counting on us, or you would be looking for us, or you would want to know what my week looked like. And so that accountability and camaraderie is just can sometimes pull you to the next level when it would be difficult to do it on your own.
That's awesome. One more thing I want to touch on is this TED Talk stuff.
Yeah.
How did you get connected with that? And how were you able to go give that? Where was that you did that?
That was at DePaul.
Okay.
And it was a DePaul professor put a TED, it was a TEDx event.
Okay.
And the professor was given my book from one of the students. So it was kind of a random call of, we want you to be one of our speakers. And I was terrified. I was
Really?
absolutely terrified. Like I had been watching TED Talks and, there's all these like awesome illustrious,
Yeah, some of them are pretty high level stuff.
very high level. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to disappoint the entire crowd. But it was super fun and just felt so privileged to be out there. But it was kind of a random, got a call, have your book. I think your story's great. Would love you to share your story.
So you just shared your story about the Alcatraz thing and getting in the
Yep.
water. So I watched it.
Oh, you did?
If our audience wants to find it, it was just Libby Hurley TED Talk, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Libby Hurley TED Talk.
Yeah, it was a really good story. I watched the whole thing. It's only about, 20 minutes?
It's 18 minutes.
18? Okay.
Because TED Talks are supposed to be 18 minutes, no longer than 18 minutes.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And so that's the amount of time that they give you. And I think I was like 18 minutes and 18 seconds, so I was a little freaked out that I went over, but
they didn't cut you off.
They didn't cut
anything.
me. No, they didn't.
No, I thought that was really cool too, because like you said, that had to have been intimidating. How many people were in the audience? Is there a lot?
About 700.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was big. It was big. Yeah.
It's one thing, like, for me to come up here and do this podcast. It's just me and you in the room.
Yeah, right.
Which is great. So, like, there's no pressure.
No,
or anything
I
like
was
that,
terrified. And in fact, I can hardly watch it. I've probably watched it once because I feel like my legs were shaking. I feel like I was so nervous, but hopefully you couldn't tell that.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah,
no, I thought you executed it flawlessly. You had slides up there too, which was good too. Nice. So as we wrap up here, is there one little nugget piece of advice that you would like to share with our audience about just overall healthy living, starting a fitness journey, whether it be getting into a triathlon or getting into fitness at all? Any, couple little things that you'd like to share from your experience?
Yeah. So I think my biggest message is, number one, love yourself, give yourself the gift of health. And I think so often our lives get so busy, or, we have our jobs that consume us. We have our families that consume us. We have friends in need. We have the tasks of the day of, grocery, laundry, whatever that is. And often taking care of ourselves falls off our plate, falls off of our to-do list. And so I would encourage everyone to, even if it's, 15, 20 minutes a day of, whether that's meditating, whether it's walking, whether it's, fixing a healthy meal, give yourself that gift of love every single day, the gift of health every single day. Because if you don't fill your cup, it's very difficult to fill someone else's. So take care of yourselves. And then the other thing is, believe in yourself. You honestly can do anything that you put your mind to. If you have that little nudge, if you have that little dream, whatever that is, if it's, physical fitness dream, or if it's a work dream, or a change of lifestyle dream, I just, triathlon has been my journey and my dream. But I would encourage everyone out there to just believe in themselves and go for it.
That's beautiful. I love that. Love yourself. Believe in yourself.
Yep.
Self-care. Take care of yourself. You got to do it. Well, I want to commend you on the work you're doing in our community to help change people's lives for the better. There's a lot of phonies out there that are trying to do things just for money. And I mean, I can genuinely tell that you're in this for the right reasons.
I love it.
It comes from your heart. And I think anytime you do that, you're going to be successful. So thank you for making our community better.
Oh, thank you so much.
If people want to find out more about you, should they find you on social media? Go on your website? How do they do that?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook page, our website. It's just Together We Try. You can Google Together We Try, and it'll take you to all of our...
TRI.
Oh, correct. Yes,
Not
Together We
TRI.
Try.
Okay.
TRI as in triathlon.
There you go. Okay.
Yep.
Shoot her a message. Check her out. Check out the website, especially if you are someone who's interested in getting into that industry. It's awesome what you guys are doing.
Thank you so much. I love it.
Keep up the great work.
And you guys keep up the great work here too.
We're trying.
I'm loving it here. Yep.
We're trying. It's it's the busy season. So again, I apologize that we're not getting out these episodes as often as we want to, but we're doing the best. We want to help as many people as we can
Doing
in
great.
2019.
Doing great.
Awesome. Again, special thanks to our sponsors, Eco Gym. Make sure you guys stay tuned next week. We'll try to get another episode up. Thank you so much for joining.